Have you heard the words lady and boss? Time's been good to me. Still styling, still flying. Yes, so sexy, hot, I sizzle.
Hi everyone, I'm Boss Amanishakhete. Today I'm going to talk about an issue that is very, very serious and that I'm very, very passionate about. It affects 1 in 4 women, or will affect 1 in 4 women in her lifetime. It does affect men, but mostly women. It's not just a local issue, it is a national epidemic. So much, in fact, that women in Australia this year have been victims of this, that they are calling it an epidemic. It's called domestic violence. Domestic violence is something that has been around for many, many years. Yes, for the past few years, we've been talking about it more and more. Yes, over the past few years, we even have laws that have been enacted where the perpetrator is being prosecuted. But there are still some cases where men, particularly, still get a slap on their hand for abusing their wives or partners or spouses. I won't go into my reasoning behind that, but I will say that we still mostly live in what I call, or what James Brown used to call, it's a man's world. And until we come to the understanding that women, God's precious gifts to this society, need to be respected and treated with respect, and this is a world that we all take part in, women will still be murdered in situations of domestic violence. I was a victim once of domestic violence. I know that many women now call themselves survivors. I too was a survivor. There was a time where I almost lost my life in a relationship where I was held at gunpoint by one of my boyfriends. Interestingly, my daughter asked me not too long ago, doesn't domestic violence just affect younger women, say in their 20s and 30s? Absolutely not. Domestic violence affects all women, younger women, older women. There are women who've been in marriage relationships, for example, for many, many years and still can't find their way out. For some of those women, death is their way out. For others of those women, such as myself, we chose life. Because of this issue and how it affected me, recently I wrote a song called Exposed. It soon will be released on CD Baby and iTunes and other online music distributors. But for the first time, I will release that single or feature that single here on this program after this show. Exposed sums up all of my relationships, abusive relationships, in one song. The music itself was created by Enough, a local Portland producer and hip-hop artist. On vocals is a young lady out of Portland by the name of Tamara Stevens. And Tamara is a hell of a vocalist, and I certainly was honored to have her a part of this single, singing the chorus or vocals. And of course, Boss Amanishakhete, myself, am expounding the words through what I call word soul. Domestic violence affects all women of every nationality, of every race. For example, a young woman who was murdered by her spouse in January of this year. However, they didn't find her body until March, even though they arrested her husband in January. His mother helped him to hide the body. Yes. The woman is an African-American female And I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to shed light on the fact that all women are victims of domestic violence. I also know that some of the African American females we've seen lately that have been paraded across the media, for example, their abusers have been African American male or sports figures that have been African American male. And I also want to say that in the sports arena, a lot of white men also are abusers. But we don't hear a lot about them, really. And it's really critical. People might say, oh, she's playing the race card. Call it whatever you want. But I want to make sure that Erica Krypton, who was 26 years old at the time, who had children that she leaves behind, was murdered by her spouse. And I wanted to show a picture of her spouse. Take a look. The perpetrator's name is Kyle Crosby. Kyle Crosby. The murderer is a white man who killed a black woman. Victims are not just white, and perpetrators are not just black. Some domestic violence happens among certain cultures that may keep it to themselves. Those cultures sometimes feel that that's not something they should talk about, but those women suffer in silence. And my hope is that if those women are watching this show, regardless of who you are, that you take it upon yourself to say, enough is enough. Women who are, or young women or older women right now who are thinking about going into a relationship or in a relationship where the situation may seem that it's getting ready to escalate into violence, rather than say that it's okay, you need to get out. Because one thing I can tell you is if you are hit once, if you are abused verbally once, all this pleading of, please, I won't do it again, is bullshit. So women, particularly young women, I don't care how much money the man has, because, you know, let's face it, there's a lot of women who want fame, who want, and I'm talking about women now, I'm not talking about the men who may experience this, but I'm talking about women, young women who get with somebody that may have some fame and fortune, and if they beat your ass in an elevator and pull you out unconscious, you still marry them anyway. I see that as a problem, and you need to take responsibility for that. And as women, we need to also take responsibility for this, okay? You know, no man should ever put his hands on a woman. And if you're putting your hands on a woman, I'm not quite sure how you were raised, okay? We also, as women, have to take responsibility in some of these relationships. If we see danger, we need to move out of the way. We need to say, money ain't worth me getting my ass beat and making excuses. Because I can tell you, if you move along in that relationship, say, for example, the guy has a lot of money and you decide, well, I'm going to marry him anyway, I can tell you you're still going to get your ass beat, but this time they're going to be a little bit more cautious about how they beat your ass. Okay? And I can guarantee you won't say anything next time, and the next time it won't be in an elevator. All right? So I did want to, again, recognize Erica Krypton, 26-year-old out of Maryland. Her body was recovered in March. We're going to be watching Mr. Kyle Crosby make sure you get your just desserts and your mama who helped you hide the body. I mean, how dare you? I don't give a damn if he is your son. For those of us who know somebody in that situation, it's also our responsibility to make sure that we can at least tell somebody, the authorities or someone, because maybe someone is afraid to say anything, okay? There are local hotline numbers, I'm sure, but there is a national hotline called Safe Horizons for those of you who are finding yourself in that situation and you need help right away. 1-800-621-4673. And let me back up a little bit. If you need help right away, you should call 911 and welcome the police when they come and take his damn ass away. And don't not file charges. And fortunately, in some states, even if you try not to file charges against the person, if you change your mind, the prosecutor will go after them anyway. And I want to say bless you to all the prosecutors and the police that actually intervene and make sure that these women are safe. Because we do know that, and it's also been written, that some police have been known to be abusers as well and tend to get away with it because they are law enforcers. They need to be held accountable as well. So again, the domestic violence number is 1-800-621-4673, 1-800-621-HOPE. Okay. I also want to give a shout out to another young lady by the name of Joanne Andre. And Joanne Andre has a Facebook site called Women Against Violence Exchange. Please go and visit Joanne here on Facebook, facebook.com, Women Against Violence Exchange. See the stories of women that are survivors. Give a shout out to Joanne Andre. Give her a like. Support her mission and support any other domestic violence mission out there to stop this issue right now. I want to close the program with what I call throwing shade on the ignoramuses or the fools. Now, they can come in all shapes and sizes, all colors, all races, all genders, all lifestyles, okay? And depending on what you do, you're going to be entered into the Boss Amanishakhete book of ignoramus fools, okay? And I came up with this as a way to find a way to come to terms with the stupidity in our society today. A lot of times we get angry about it. We point it out. A lot of us are pointing out what we see as ignoramus or prejudices or discriminations and things in our society. But what do we do about it? I decided I was going to start a journal called The Book of Ignoramus Fools. And at the end of every year on New Year's, I'm going to do something with that chapter and then start afresh the following year with a new chapter on the Book of Ignoramus Fools. And as you can see here, I have my book where I will be putting your name and throwing shade on who you are. And as you noticed, that book has my shoe sitting right on top of it. Because right now I can put my foot on your behind. Okay? Put my foot on your ass. And then remove that foot. Identify you, put you in my book, and throw shade on your behind. I want to bring out two incidences where I'm going to be adding folks to my book of ignoramus fools. One has to do with being out shopping the other day. I was at a grocery store, at a deli, and just standing there, I was standing next to someone on my left, didn't know who that person was because I never did pay attention to that person until this white woman who was standing in front of me, buying everything she saw in the deli, looked at the woman behind the counter and said, I was planning to go to this Chinese restaurant down the street, but it was closed. Then she turned around and looked at the woman to my left, who, by the way, I didn't know who she was at the time, whether what race she was, anything. But this white woman looked around me and looked at this woman and said, I was surprised because I didn't think Asians closed. So when she said that, I had to turn to my left, and it was an Asian woman. And she was sitting here like this. She says, Asians don't close. The woman didn't say anything to this woman, white woman, that was saying this ignoramus, foolish thing to her. So I said, I think Asians or whoever they are, anybody, they do what everybody else does, close the business when they feel like closing a business. And that's all I could say because I was kind of stunned. And I was, I guess it wasn't my business because she wasn't talking to me until she was getting ready to buy some tamales and turned to me and said, did you hear about the tamales in the OJ? I said, put up my hand and went like this. Stop right now. She said it's a funny story. I told her like this, I don't give a damn. I am not interested in what you're getting ready to say. So that woman, you know who you are, who was in the store on May 22nd, 2015, right there in Tualatin, Oregon. You know who I'm talking about. You had on a peach shirt, you had red hair and glasses, and you were about 57 years old or 60, maybe little over 60. But I've added you to my book of ignoramus fools, because that is what you are. And I also wanted to make a comment. It might sound a little insensitive, but I have a lot of Asian friends, and generally they don't say anything when someone says something to them. People always get mad at black folks because they're always saying stuff when someone says something that's insensitive or appears to be insensitive or racist. And we say something. Yes, I'm glad we do, because we've been talked about enough, and during slavery we couldn't say a damn thing, so it's our time to say whatever we want to say, whether it's insensitive or not, and I don't care who cares, okay? We're going to point you out, throw shade when you say things that you shouldn't be saying. But I do want to say to my Asian friends that I think it's time to start speaking up when people say things like, I thought all Asians don't close. That was a racist comment and very insensitive, but it's time to start saying something and standing up for your rights. Yes, it is. So again, that woman is in my book of ignoramus fools. Then I wanted to end my book of ignoramus fools today with the folks that wanted to say something nasty to Jay-Z and Beyonce for wanting to donate or having donated $9 million to the Black Lives Matters Fund. And it pissed off the folks over at Fox, okay? Of course it did. Of course it did. Hasselback and friends, or the rest of that little racist over at Fox. We all know who you are over there. And we do understand that the folks that work for the Fox affiliate, all of you over there, you know who you are. You're racist. You don't like black people, let's just face it. You don't like the president, you don't like the black guy in office, we get that. You're very, very racist. And I know it really angers people when they do things like that, but for me, I'm very happy when they say something, racist such as yourself, say something, because we can identify where you are. Because we can't stomp out certain behaviors in our society unless we know where y'all are. So continue to say what you want to say, because I want to know where you are and where you are so I can put you in my book of ignoramus fools, okay? So you're joining my book of ignoramus fools today because I understand you don't like black folks. You want all black men to be shot in the back. You want all black people to go back to slavery. Yes, Rush Limbaugh did say that, folks. He thought that slavery was great for the economy and we should do it again. And that's why he wasn't allowed to buy an NBA team. That's right, Rush. Calling your behind out. So he's already been in my book of ignoramus fools, okay? Yes, he has. But anyway, just wanted to say that I'm going to be adding you to my book of ignoramus fools if I think you should go in here. And then again, we'll talk about what we're going to do at the end of the year with all you ignoramus fools in this book. I don't know if I'm going to bless the book, burn the book, or what. Or burn the chapter, I should say. But whatever we do with the names in the book of ignoramus fools, I am going to put it to rest at the end of each year. And I'll probably be inspired by the creator of all things to bless it. And if we bless it, perhaps they will either become compassionate beings or not. Or maybe they will move on. But anyway, thanks for joining me here on Boss Amanishakhete. We'll see you next time. Actually, stay tuned for Exposed.
My man.
You know I love you, baby.
My boo. From the start, the very best. Treating me like a woman in pearls. Making me wait, anticipate, salivate for your hypnotize. Making me shudder good. But you got me, you young scum bum. Sly, slick, wicked, unchained. You called me young, dumb, and full of cum. Making me shudder again. This time with a slam, blam. Let me jam your shit, bitch. Fall ball, but don't call your BFF Jill. I'm the one you flung into the night for crumbs. Should've listened to Daddy who said go for the gold. Have your own in case he acts like a stone cold stank. Bang for the right deal, a man named Prince. Don't settle for a man named Grinch who plays you, tames you, shames you into silence.
I love you, boy, but you sure took away my dignity. You wronged me, boy, you crushed me, boy, and you sure took away my dignity. Don't want no more, to hurt no more. I wanna take back my dignity. I told you, boy, won't plead no more. This time I'm gonna keep my dignity.
You taught me oh so well. Pick 'em like you, Tad, Brad, and Chaz. No Abels, just hurricane hounds crashing. Strangling me comatose until I make no sound. I die awake into a shake after beaten by your bullet-filled weapon cocked to my head. You card-carrying NRA scumbum ready to thrill kill. Blaming it on playing ball, y'all. Calling his game smackdown, kapow, broke jaws. Slamming me against the elevator walls, pulling me into the halls. Dropping his tall on top of my fall while out cold. Numbed. Damaged. Silenced.
I wanted you, boy, I love you, boy, but you sure took away my dignity. You wronged me, boy, you crushed me, boy, and you sure took away my dignity. Don't want no more, to hurt no more. I wanna take back my dignity. I told you, boy, won't plead no more. This time I'm gonna keep my dignity.
I grew weary each and every day. I heard you, feared you near, filled with hate for your soul. Oh, how I wanted to be cold, bold. The one who told the man in blue, itching to kill another mother's spawn right before dawn. Is that so wrong? Wanting to take a stand who broke my trust. Your promises, promises. I think not. I ain't forgot. That's why I chose to take the upper hand while watching you sleep so deep. After you sat back from Mac, sucking your pain through my veins. Can't do this again. I'll go insane, like snapped. Karma will be your next bitch, so holla me bad. I'm a new woman with a vision. Making my own decisions. My dignity. To be free. 'Cause death awaits if I stay. Watashi wa Amanishakhete. Boss is more than just a name, I am the way. One life, one moment. We must take control of our destiny.